Welcome back to another episode of Transitions from War. I'm your host, Mike Ergo, a Marine Corps veteran. I've returned from Iraq and faced the challenges of PTSD, addiction, and grief to create a new life that is balanced and healthy in mind, body, and spirit. I'm joined by fellow Marine Rich Stralian, and together we talk about our journey to mental and physical health through endurance sports. Each episode will share some of our journey or interview inspired veterans and subject matter experts to help us find that purpose and connection we all crave. You can follow the show on Instagram at Transitions from War. Join our TFW page on Facebook, Twitter, and transitionsfrommore.com. If you have any questions, comments, or topic ideas, feel free to email me at mike@transitionsfrommore.com. And if you enjoy the show, consider leaving us a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you get your audio. As always, thanks for listening, everyone, and let's get to the show. Back. Boom. What's up, Rich?
Hey, how's it going, Mike?
Dude, it's going well. It's a little time change here. Some of the logistics involved in recording our show, right? You know,
we just had our time shift like today, actually.
Oh wow, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. So yeah, it's 2:00, right? And it's 2 p.m. in
now.
Estonia.
Yep.
And it's 04 here in the west coast of the United States. So I'm up early anyway.
Jocko. You're on that Jocko program now. Oh, get up. 4:30
I got
in the morning.
The getting up part. I just need to get like the part where he has like the huge like pile of sweat that you're not sure because it's black and white. You're not sure if a body just got drug out of there or if it's his sweat. So
Jocko.
Man. Yeah. Fixed bayonets 0430. Yeah, man. Yeah, no, things are going good out here, man. How is
That's good to hear.
How's life in the Baltic states?
You know, it's pretty good. I mean, things have calmed down, I think, a little bit with like the whole war situation in Ukraine. Calmed down, meaning that like I think in the first couple of weeks, everyone was very afraid. Like if Kyiv fell in a week or two, it would have had some repercussions probably for the Baltic states. Like,
right.
So now, I mean, everyone is still very much supporting Ukraine. A lot of the Estonian news is about the war. There's a lot of refugees who have made their way here. But our life continues kind of as normal. And I'm actually surprised. Like I have someone from that when I told you I went and taught in Ukraine.
Yeah.
For a little bit. And so our point of contact, we still have this curriculum that I put together and I hadn't sent it because I finished it and then Russia invaded,
Yeah.
So I hit our contact up on Facebook and I was like, hey, I got this curriculum, and she's like, send it. And I was like, are you seriously working right now? And she's like, yeah, she's like, I work every day, missiles permitting.
Wow.
And that was like the guidance from the government. And that's just freaking crazy to me. But wow, it's intense, man. If you think about it,
cloudy with a chance of missiles, right?
Yeah,
that's intense. That is super intense.
It's crazy.
We both been in war, but it's different element too to have it in your backyard, in your home. Like you and I went to a different place in the world to fight a war.
Yeah.
So yeah, more to come on that as things progress and as we, I don't know, our thoughts progress on everything that's happening.
Absolutely. Yeah. But that's how things are out here. It's just continuing life. And, obviously heart goes out to the folks in Ukraine.
Yeah, exactly. To be continued, more to be said on that. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Today we're going to talk about fitness.
Yeah. Well, one thing I got is I'll put a link to the show notes. There's this group called Saint Javelin. I think I sent you the link for those t-shirts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What's the Russian poet that, or excuse me, the Ukrainian poet, Shevchenko,
Yeah.
Yevchenko?
Taras Shevchenko
Yeah,
is
Shevchenko.
one of
Yeah.
their most famous like literary
Yeah.
figures.
It's a picture of him with basically saying, you can say it in Ukrainian probably, but it's like, glory to Ukraine with him
Yeah,
holding
Slava
a javelin.
Ukraini.
Yeah.
Yep. Slava Ukraini.
Yeah. So that's pretty dope. But anyways, I got a dope shirt of it looks like I kind of like looks like the Virgin Mary except holding a javelin. So that is
Nice.
the Saint Javelin. Um, anyways, let's
That's cool.
switching gears a bit. We got an email, dude.
Yeah. That
That's
means
an
at least
email
one person's
feedback.
listening.
Yeah,
What?
exactly.
Awesome.
At least one person is listening, other than someone's mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so this email comes from Celeste, and it says, "Hi, Mike. This was my favorite episode so far. I loved hearing about where Rich is, what is going on there, the reality of trying to get more exercise and meditation. It's helpful to know more about what meditation is and how and when to do it, even if you don't have a guided meditation. I'd love to hear more about it. After all this time meditating, I still feel very much like a beginner. Deep meditation almost feels like the search for happiness, in that when I am experiencing either one, it is elusive and fleeting. I guess the trick is to let go and allow whatever shows up to unfold. Can you please send me all your meditations? Thanks, Celeste." So yeah, well, first off, thank you for that email. Thanks
Definitely.
for letting us know you listen, and the feedback about talking about meditation and your own experience with it. I mean, I think that's something we can definitely go into and talk a little bit more about in this show, because I know we talk about it, but not necessarily, what she's bringing up about it.
Mhm.
Also, yes, we can send you all the meditations. I have those on file. Should anybody want them, I'll send them to you. You know, I have them. So if you would like a copy of these meditations that I've put out on this show or other shows, just email us. You can email me, mike@transitionsfromwar.com. Um, so yeah, deep meditation or unguided meditations. What's your experience with that, Rich?
You know, so I typically just do the guided stuff. I haven't
Uh-huh.
done any programs. Like I really wanted before I had a kid to like go to Sri Lanka and do like 2 weeks at a monastery with like no electronics and no talking and just kind of like meditating and
Huh?
existing in that. Never got to do that. And it turns out you don't have to go to like India or Sri Lanka. They have places in the States where you can do that. Like,
They have lots of places everywhere, and
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's like it does sound cooler to be like in India, like super
Mhm.
more spiritual, right? Uh,
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's like going to Thailand to learn Muay Thai. You can still
yes,
learn it right down the street, you know?
yes,
And like, there's a lot of people who moved from Thailand to the States and are, like uber masters in Muay Thai or, meditation. But it's
right,
just,
right.
it sounds cooler to be like, I went to Sri Lanka and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds way cooler. I mean, and there's something about it too. I mean, it's like going camping. It like the unwritten rule is it feels like you have to drive at least an hour away from your house.
Mm-hmm.
Like even I got this awesome campground. It's a KOA that's like in Petaluma here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, can I go camping there? Because it's basically down the street from my house. But deep meditation, or let's just say meditation in general, that's unguided. Um, it is, well, let's first of all, there's a lot of different forms of meditation. The meditation I'm most familiar with, it would be called Vipassana or insight meditation, where one simply focuses on their breath, breathing in and breathing out, letting whatever thoughts pass by to be there and just noticing them as they go by. And I think it's called insight because you're not focusing on anything necessarily, um, other than your breath and the insight that's within you. So I could be wrong, but why I think this is effective, one is the breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, or the part of us that just helps us rest, be restored, helps our body rejuvenate, repair cells. And it also helps us to hear whatever answers are right there in our head, like that we come up with given enough space. Like if you think about it, people who come up with ideas for inventions, or the next great novel or whatever it is, it's very rarely they're like consciously like furrowing their brow and like plowing through, directing their thoughts like that. Usually the inspiration just shows up like when they wake up, or I don't know, they are
The
doing the
shower.
dishes. Yeah, exactly. The shower. And because you're giving yourself space, and then it just boom, it shows up. So I believe
Um,
that's one of the reasons it's effective.
yeah.
Um,
Einstein and Edison both used to like schedule naps in the
yeah,
day
yeah.
to be able to like allow it's called diffuse mode thinking. It's
Okay.
like it takes place not directly in your frontal lobe where you're actively concentrating. You have to like allow these kind of neurons to be able to connect. I do a lot of reading about on books about learning, and there was one that was actually by an army veteran who was a Russian linguist,
Wow.
and then became like she got out and found that she just could not, like, she wanted to move towards like mathematics, and it took her a while to learn how to learn math. And so she goes through and gives like the kind of what is happening in your brain when you're learning. It's very interesting stuff. And the other thing that you just kind of reminded me of is like I was going through an audiobook
Yeah.
by, I'm gonna murder the guy's name. It's like, I'm not even gonna try. It is He was one of the leading Buddhist teachers in who had like taught in English.
Thich Nhat Hanh.
Yes, Thich Nhat Hanh.
There
Thank you.
you
I would have, yeah.
go.
And it was kind of a retelling of the Buddha's, Siddhartha's kind of change
Okay.
into the Buddha. And he talks about like when they start, they don't just do sitting meditation. They do like walking meditation. And when they
Yeah.
eat, they would eat like without speaking and just kind of enjoy and savor. And so, I mean, I think we would kind of classify that more under mindfulness, right? But
Yeah.
there's plenty of different types of meditation. The deep meditation, I don't really have too much experience with it. I'm only able to get to that place where, like in the guided meditation, they're like, okay, and now you're going to come back. I'm
Yeah.
only able to get there if I've been doing like headspace, 20-minute meditations like daily, or at least close to daily, for like consistently. And then I'm more able to get to that place. At least I can recognize it. But yeah, the deep meditation, I don't think.
Yeah. And to talk about anything deep, I mean, that's subjective. It's relative, right? I guess. I don't know. When I think deep meditation, I think where Luke Skywalker's on Dagobah getting trained by Yoda, and he's like balancing the rocks in the air. So
Yes, my
I don't know
favorite.
how to do that one yet.
But
But
eventually you will
exactly,
get there,
man.
because Star Wars is real. No,
Yeah. I'd be swinging on vines with a little creature on my back, guiding my ways. Um, Bodies killed, you will. Um, but it's okay. So the search for happiness, and that when I'm experiencing either one, it is elusive and fleeting. So I guess the trick is to let go and allow whatever shows up to unfold. Yeah, I think that is it. And so there's something to be said about just noticing the thoughts,
Mhm.
um, observing them, like you're observing clouds passing by in the sky, and then noticing your breath again. Just continue to come back, and the noise eventually dissipates in terms of like all these thoughts that are going through our heads. And I think the trick is learning how to not judge the thoughts that are coming in. For example, like I'm noticing the body is giving me signs of hunger. The body or the mind is having thoughts of boredom. These different natural occurring things. So I would just notice those as opposed to saying like, man, I'm hungry. Fuck, I shouldn't be thinking about that. Why am I thinking about that? No, just concentrate on the meditation. See, this is like the dialogue that we engage in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we can just notice that and then come back to the breath instead of like just like holding on and guiding those thoughts, just letting the thoughts go by. So
It gives you space, and then I think in some ways it allows you to separate from yourself a little bit.
yes, it allows you to separate from the thoughts. It allows you to separate from the feelings. Not that you don't feel them or think them, but that you see them. You see them as it's like it's not the total makeup of who you are. It's part of you, but you can notice those things. Like
Mm-hmm.
you are the witness or you are the noticer of those things happening.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, I'm
go ahead.
go ahead. No.
One one trick
Irrelevant shit.
is just to say it like in a third person. The mind is having an anxious thought.
Mm-hmm.
The body is feeling sleepiness, or the body is feeling hunger, or whatever it is. So
It just, other than meditation, the only time I've ever felt that way is bombing in stand-up comedy. Like when you
yeah,
are bombing, dude, it is the loneliest feeling in the world. And what happens is sometimes it feels like you go outside of yourself and you watch yourself from like over your shoulder. And then that's when you just repeat. You go into this kind of like, well, you know how they grill into you as an infantry person, like contact front. It's
yeah,
if it's like under 50 meters or whatever, you just start shooting and assault through,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And if it's more, then you have your like team SOP as to how you're going to get out, and you grill that a million times, so that way it's so ingrained that when this connection to your frontal lobe shuts down through fear or adrenaline or this survival response,
yeah.
you do what the script says.
Right.
So with stand up, like there's times where you're in the moment and you're really feeling that flow and you're just crushing it. But then there's
yeah.
times when you're like, you say the joke and there's just nothing. And when
Yeah.
that happens, sometimes you just go right onto the script and just like, yeah, so I was at the store the other day and you just go through it. They give you the light, you leave, that you did bad, but it's an out of body experience. And you're like, man, Rich really bombed today.
Yes. The body is bombing right now.
Exactly.
The mind is having lonely thoughts.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
dude.
that's funny, man. Yeah, that shows up in my job too. If I'm like trying to help somebody and I'm just not connecting my thoughts, or I'm feeling out of my element, I'm like, wow, the body is giving like unhelpful advice, or like the mind is having confused thoughts. It doesn't happen that often. But yeah, I know the experience. And be like, well, let's see how this goes.
Yeah, I feel bad like if I'm in a class or something and the culture out here is not the same as far as like universities go. Where like I think we encourage a lot of discussions in classes.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, especially with these Zoom classes, you get teachers who will kind of ask questions and no one's answering. So I tend to like, I'll answer or, have a discussion or make a comment or whatever. And
Uh-huh.
as my wife likes to say, like when you're bored ask questions. Like it is
Yeah.
true. It keeps you engaged. But yeah, there have been a couple times where I was lecturing and I was just like, oh dude, you're just lecturing to a screen, or even it's even worse if people are in the class
Yeah.
and you tell a joke or something and then back to stand-up comedy mode and you're like,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. I
oh.
just flew in from Helsinki. Boy, are my arms tired.
Oh man.
Ugh.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, I think so. Meditation, I have not been doing great on. Uh, but I'm doing pretty good mostly. Have not
Nice.
missed any workouts, which is
Nice.
nice.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, we talk about on the show like being reconnected, mind, body, and spirit. Um, so obviously meditation, we're talking about the mind, and it affects the body too. Helps us heal, helps us to put our body in that mode where we're getting out of the fight or flight.
mhm.
Um, Obviously, our body doing physical training, getting sleep, and eating and hydrating well. And then the spirit, which I usually just talk about as, doesn't have to be a religious thing, but it can be just connection. What are we doing to connect to ourselves, to other people, to animals, to the world around us?
I
Because
like that definition of it
yeah,
because
it's just like what fulfills us, like what gives us that like fulfilling, passionate. Oh, this is why I'm alive. Kind of feeling.
yeah,
Um,
I like that because sometimes when people like call out either the name of a savior or a prophet or whatever, I gotta be honest, man, my butthole tightens up a little bit.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Especially if they
So
do it too much. But yeah, so I like that definition, the connection aspect. That's good.
yeah, I'm looking at my dog get comfortable. There he goes.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey,
Yeah,
so here's a question.
yeah,
Now, this is, I guess, a little bit of a joke, but like, so you kind of, you are running triathlons, so you have a triathlon coach,
yeah.
and there's plenty of people who make a good living as executive coaches or life coaches. But
Uh
are there any, like, other than yoga teachers, like, are there any
huh.
people who do like, I'm your meditation person, like
There
meditation
actually
coach?
are, but they're usually like, it seems, yoga people too.
Okay, so
Yeah.
today we need to engage. I don't know, it's funny to me sometimes, like,
Oh, it's hilarious. I want to see, like, I want to see the conversion or the transference of someone from like being a drill instructor to becoming a meditation coach.
oh dude, that would,
Meditate right now. Clear your daggone freaking mind right now.
I don't know why we're not empty. Why are we not empty?
Why? I don't know why we're engaging with these judgmental thoughts when we should be noticing the freaking breath. Yeah, we should. I should get in that business.
Should shoot a sketch of the drill instructor meditation coach.
You better ship me some beginner's mind right now.
Dude, it would be hilarious to even just have like a drill instructor be a yoga, like a yoga instructor, because it's like, and when you're in this position, when you're a downward dog, you want to be like,
Exactly.
like concentrating on your breath and making sure that you feel the flow of your body.
Yeah, let me find someone not relaxing during the Shavasana. Let me see one person. Yeah, with the freaking go. Yeah, that would be that'd be quite the transition right there,
Yes.
man. Um, one thing, so I'm gonna put under show notes just this little ebook that I wrote. Um, I want to say I wrote it in 2016. Um, but it's not too outdated in terms of the content, just how to reconnect to mind, body, and spirit. Um, it's a free download. So I'll put it in the show notes. So if it's helpful for anyone, just give you some practical ways to connect physically, mentally, and spiritually.
That's good.
And if it sucks, yeah, let us know, Mike at transitionsfromwar.com. What sucked
So
about it?
great thing about ebooks is you can edit them, right? Like
Exactly.
it's perfect. So yeah, give us the feedback.
Yeah, man. But I think taking on meditation with just a little less like intensity
Mm-hmm.
can help. I think there's a lot of pressure to meditate well. Like, am I doing this right? I mean, and if that thought shows up, just notice that thought. The mind is having a thought of worry or whatever it is, or hoping I do this right, or whatever, however we want to label it. And just kind of be gentle with yourself, be easy, you know?
Yeah, I mean, so I look at this, I have a weird kind of framework to think about this, but it's with all of these things, and I mean all of them,
Yeah.
it's a series of small habits that then lead to something, right?
Yep.
Whether it's if you're smoking a pack a day and deciding to get drunk every day, like starting at noon, which I see that out here, by the way. Like I see people. Yeah, I mean, in these colder climates, right? Alcoholism kind of runs rampant, but
Oh yeah.
so that's, I mean, it's a series of small decisions that you're trying to make one way or the other, right?
Right.
But if you make the majority of these in the healthy way, okay, I'm going to eat right now. Should I order McDonald's, or should I take some spinach that I have and throw it together with some protein and whatever?
Yeah.
You can eat McDonald's 20% of the time and you're still going to be okay, but maybe not McDonald's, but 80-20 rule, you know what I mean? It's, I'm looking at this like set of race target like endurance races.
So you're targeting different races.
Clear.
Let's
Yes, not targeting
races,
different races,
different kinds of people.
So yes, targeting different like endurance races throughout the year. Okay. And so how this kind of falls in with meditation is like, for me to get to, I have like a couple big target races and then a bunch that I'm just going to play it by ear. My overall, so I think I'm going to shoot for a 70.3. And if it's not doable,
yes,
then I will adjust from there.
Okay.
All right. The fallback race. So August 7th is Tallinn 70.3.
Yes.
I'll explain how this comes back to meditation in a second. I promise it'll get there. But so like the big thing is just to try to take small steps forward and then have these like little by little, a little becomes a lot. Okay. So in this lovely Excel spreadsheet I put together of all these target races, a lot of them have variable distance. So right now I'm doing couch to 5K. My goal right now, I'm just trying to get out there. And each time, so couch to 5K is one of these, it's not so much like Maffetone method, which was how you train, how your coach trains, which is you keep it under a certain heart rate for a certain duration of time. This right now, I'm in the building the ability to go to basically run.
I get it.
What I mean?
Yeah.
So you start very small. And like today, I probably ran for, I think, 16 minutes with some walking in between. So it was 2 sets of like 3 minutes, 5 minutes with small walking intervals. And I can tell, like I can feel my body start to understand what's required of it, if that makes sense. Right. And now if I were to go try and run a half marathon on May 7th in Vendra, then that wouldn't work out. It just wouldn't, right? It's too much load for the body. But by like practicing and slowly building up, the same as you do with meditation, you start to get used to it, and then you're able to go further. I'm hoping that with better diet choices, which I'm making, for me and for the family, that I'll lose weight. So then by the time we talk about races in like June or something, it'll be like I dropped a ruck. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, because right now I'm running and I know I'm probably 50 pounds heavier than my ideal running weight would be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want to just focus on this. I want to do some calisthenic stuff and get my body just strong and flexible because I have a sedentary job. So right now I'm working on running. I plan to do 80-20 triathlon with Training Peaks. Like I have a
Uh-huh.
program for that, and I'll be starting that probably this week coming up.
Nice.
But through like this small practice, through this, I don't know, don't focus on like, oh shit. Because I'll tell you, if I start thinking about, oh man, by August I have to be able to run a half Ironman,
Oh, you
then
get psyched
I
out.
will crash and burn. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I'm like, hey, look, I'm going to just follow my training program, and then for one of these, so like there's dates, May 7th and May 8th.
Uh-huh.
And as they come up, so this is like, there's one's a trail run that has marathon, half marathon, 10K, 5K. And then there's another one that's road, and it's marathon, half marathon, 16K, 8K. But if I know like, hey, my training plan requires me to do a long, slow run on Sunday, that's approximately like this amount of time. I know this is my pace.
Yeah.
I'll just run that race as like so it's getting out there. And then some of these also have like kid races.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Where they go like 400 meters or something. And I want to get my kid into that, just where he sees kind of something cool that's not the usual, like there's so much positive energy that collects in these places with just people. You don't see like, well, I mean, part of it is you have all these positive endorphins that are coming through your brain when you're running. Like no one's at a run pissed off.
And that's being mirrored every time we see other people that are excited like that. And so just like it amps up a lot in a good way.
Exactly. Yeah. So part of the reason I changed this, Mike, is I had been planning on trying to do on the same date that this Ironman, half Ironman is. There was a race that's in Narva, which is like right on the Russian border. And like they have it's actually August 6th, but they have like a 60K, and I wanted to just be able to walk the 60K.
Right.
But I contacted the race officials, and they sent me like tracks and then what the deadlines are, like the cutoff times. And I don't believe, even if I'm working this program that we were talking about, I don't think I could get to where I could cover a 60K in what they were asking for.
I see.
So I had to adjust my goals. Even if I dropped like 40 pounds, then maybe I would do it. But I don't know, man. It's just, the whole meditation conversation made me think about how all of this is based on like small choices, and you make the right choice.
Yeah.
In the moment.
Yeah. Tim Ferriss, productivity guru and master of everything, just provided this information that stuck with me. And that was that small, consistent changes, consistent every day or every other day, way better than huge changes that are very infrequent, or like workouts. That's a great, if you slay yourself one day, but it's so much that you don't want to work out at all for another month or week or 2 weeks, not as effective as doing, maybe 10, 15 minutes a day of something.
Yeah, man. When I was do jujitsu for a while, I had a buddy who was like a judo black belt, and he's brown belt. Now he's got mobility issues and stuff. So I don't think he's ever going to go get his jujitsu black belt. But I was training like 7 or 8 hours a week. And I was like, yeah, I'll get in this. And he's like, bro, don't you think it would maybe be better if you just went like 3 nights a week for one class and then like kept at it for like 5 years? And I was like, oh, but I really, want to, and then what happened is I just was getting my butt kicked because I was, going up against people, and it just wasn't sustainable. James Clear is a guy who wrote like a book called Atomic Habits.
Love it.
Dude, that's such a great book.
Yeah.
And his have you? Well, he's got a really good
Yeah.
email
It's one,
list.
two,
I like
three.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so for the folks who I don't know, meditating, it to me, all this kind of ties together, like you were saying,
Yeah.
like mind, body, spirit. And it's actually kind of funny to me how similar, like, if you think about it, the Stoic philosophy kind of boils down to like, you can't control everything. You can't
Yeah.
control what happens in the world. You can only control how you react to it.
Right.
And meditation kind of gives you some space. So that way, maybe your emotions don't flare immediately, or, you don't,
You don't react to things
exactly.
it's like almost like cursing at the weather. It's like, stop raining right now. Okay. Or you can just say it's raining and I'm feeling a certain way about it,
Mm-hmm.
and then come back to what you can control. And some occurred to me too. I mean, we're primarily trying to reach vets, and we got a lot of vets with injuries either from service or afterwards. Um, so if we're talking about triathlon, we're talking about running ultras and marathons and 10Ks, 5Ks. If that's not in the realm of possibility right now due to any kind of wound or injury, focus on what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something you can do. And I got inspired by listening to stories of people recovering too in hospitals, like Walter Reed or Brooks Army Medical Center, Bethesda, things like that. Just thinking like the one thing they could do. Or like my friend Derek um, Fitzgerald, huge inspiration to me. Dude not only had cancer, but then had to have a heart transplant, and he went from being pretty in shape to not being able to like walk more than a few steps without getting out of breath. And so he made it his goal to walk across his room. And eventually he got that. And then he would walk down the hall. And this is like taking we're not talking about, days, we're talking about weeks sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always something you can do. So if you come across it that way, whether it be meditation or physical activity or spiritual aspect, connection with other living beings, there's always something you can do. So if you don't have weights, all right, maybe you take a soup can and you do like 10 overhead presses.
Here's
Um,
one. If you can't do a push-up, lean
yeah,
against a wall, you know.
yeah,
Um, dude, there's what you just said reminded me. Okay, so we're now in 2022, but in like, I'd say we met in '08, I think.
uh-huh,
Um, and I was in really good shape, and I was on my way to becoming a Marine Corps officer. And I was, but I had this kind of like late onset PTSD, I guess, or not really late onset. I think it onset immediately, and I just ignored everything.
yeah. Onset awareness or
And
late onset awareness of it.
exactly.
Yeah,
And so I had, like, at the end of OCS, in this would be August of '08, we did like a 12-mile hump, and I couldn't move my neck like the next day.
oh yeah,
And that was like the first I remember. And then when I got back, like when I was at OCS, man, I ran a 20:30 when I left there.
yeah.
And I
Pretty
was
mild.
like one of the slowest in the company. And so I was trying to train doing CrossFit and stuff, and then my hands started going numb, and it all ended up like to where I got to a point where I was like laid up, basically. Like the medical advice was really don't do anything, is
Yeah,
what they kind of
yeah,
told me. And you know, I can't go back and change how that was, but I can definitely tell you that like the combination of like the depression, anxiety that comes with post-traumatic stress,
yeah.
and that doesn't have to be war related post-traumatic stress. That's
No,
There's all these other things. It all combines. What ended up happening, like, and I'm really thankful I avoided opioid addiction, because they were
you,
pumping the pills,
yeah, yeah,
and I didn't like how they made me feel. Like even the weak ones would make it so I really couldn't think. And at that time, I was at the I&I station in
yeah.
Alameda, And I was just like, look, I can't do this. I ended up getting a cool surgeon who was like a super fan of the Florida State Seminoles, but like he was at Stanford Hospital, and they did this thing where they basically burnt off the nerve in my neck with like radiation. And that
Nice.
gave me enough space from the pain. And that happened in like December of what, maybe 12. And then I got out at the beginning of 13 and started getting therapy and stuff.
Yeah.
But like when I had flare ups later down the line and when I couldn't move my neck again, even though it still was like intense pain and I had, shooting everywhere, shooting pains, not like shooting,
Yeah.
because I had started to get a handle on my mental and emotional situation, I was able to kind of move in the right direction, and I don't know, blood flow to a place is better than no blood flow to a place when it comes to healing.
Uh-huh.
So if you can move it all, whether, start with meditation and then try, like it all kind of comes together.
Yeah.
And so, I'm still beat up, man. I don't know that I'm going to be able to do these things, but for me, like the success criteria is finishing. So if I finish maybe 30% of these and definitely try to finish like these big ones, I don't know,
Uh-huh.
this heavy metal ultra, by the way, in August, it's called a backyard ultra.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like an AMRAP. You
Oh,
remember that
wow.
from
Okay.
CrossFit?
Yeah.
So it's like they have a 6.7 kilometer loop. They play heavy metal songs. And then basically they start a new loop every hour on the hour. And so you get to go as many times as you can. And then if you get 7, then you hit like somewhere around 49 kilometers.
Yeah.
And then you get like a participant medal or whatever.
Oh,
So it's,
nice.
but like some people have done like multiple days, like, those crazy people do
Jesus.
like
Yeah.
55 laps or something. And you're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I mean, it all feeds together to make us, I think, better people, or at least I hope, because the
Yeah.
meditation should give you some awareness of,
All right. And if
yeah,
you, the listener, um, look at meditating and it feels daunting, it feels like, oh my God, like you have to do, like half an hour or an hour of intense deep meditation, and that's like overwhelming. Do 2 minutes of breathing with your eyes closed. Or, if eyes closed is maybe beyond you right now, that's okay too. Look at the wall. Do 2 minutes of breathing. You there's a lot of places we can start. I think it's better to start, somewhere small
mhm.
and where there's an entry point versus looking at like, fuck, okay, I want to run. So let's look at marathons, and I can't do a marathon, so let's not run.
No,
No,
do a 5K, man. Do a 5K if you
exactly.
can. Train
Walk,
for a 5K.
walk
Walk a
across your
fucking
kitchen.
5K. Exactly.
So if you're hurt,
Walk down the hallway.
yeah. So in meditation, working out, I approach them the same way. Do something consistently, do it very small, do it consistently. So yeah, that's it for me today, man. What do you
Yeah.
think?
And I mean, I would say like the reason I have all these multiple distances on here, and the thing that people should keep in mind is that it's really about what you can handle and what you can do.
Yeah.
And you want to find that sweet zone where you can like push yourself a little bit, but not like overextend so that you hurt yourself, so that
Yes.
you end up like I've done a couple times in my life, right?
Me
Where
too.
yeah. And so the same goes with meditation. You want to like stick to something you're with, try to be consistent. Sorry, try to stick with something that is like just outside of your sweet spot, just barely outside your sweet spot. And that other people don't know that unless, I don't know,
Yeah.
they're your life or meditation or triathlon coach. But that's what those people get paid for, is to help you kind of coach you to your sweet spot. And then you grow best by just pushing a little bit past that.
Exactly. Yeah. That sounds good to
No
me,
hurt.
man.
Yeah. And hey guys, I'm trying to do that. That's what I mean, part of the reason that we do this thing is so we can stay consistent, right? So it's
Bro, I'm telling you, man, this pandemic has really kicked my ass in terms of I've fallen off of like this humongous, like, regiment, consistent, big training load that I was doing for a while. I've fallen off completely. So I am employing these things for both meditation and for exercise. So yeah,
Absolutely.
it's not like it's beyond me, even though I've been living this triathlon training meditation lifestyle since I want to say like 2012. I started to get into more endurance, and then 2015 into triathlon. So it's been, a solid decade for a lot of it. And I'm starting off at this beginner mode. Or
Beginner's mode and beginner's mindset are not a bad thing.
nah.
Like reapproaching, you get to relearn. And sometimes, if you have already like a full vessel or you think you know everything, then that's almost worse to go learn sometimes if you think you know everything,
Oh, yeah. Well, I can tell you, if you're coaching someone, it's the fucking worst to coach. You're like, all right, shut the fuck up.
I mean, I'm guilty of it. I also try to start with like a beginner's mindset,
Yeah.
but yeah, it can be very humbling when you like try to explain fundamentals and then realize that you don't know them that well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I
Yeah.
experience that every time I have to supervise someone for a master's thesis. I'm like, oh, dude, shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So I think this has been helpful.
Yeah. So
And it's cool because we had planned to talk about this, but then I don't know, it tied together. I think it was good.
it really did. So again, thank you, Celeste, for that email.
Yeah, thank you, Celeste.
Yeah, you gave some great content for the show, and hopefully this is helpful, to you. Hopefully, listeners, other listeners, this is helpful. So, like we said before, write us, email us, let us know, what you're thinking, what would be helpful to hear about. So otherwise, you're just going to get more boot camp / stories about us in the fleet getting or almost getting arrested.
Yep.
Which we won't stop telling. But if you want something more than that, write us, let us know what you want to hear.
Please.
Please, for the love of God.
Yeah. Give us
Hi,
more to
man.
talk about.
Yeah. Oh shit, dude. This is fun. Love doing the show with you, man. This is good stuff.
I feel the same.
Well, on that motherfucking note, I think we should consider the thought of drink water,
Meditate.
kill bodies. All right, everyone, that'll do it for this week of Transitions from War. Go ahead and subscribe to the show, follow it. Find us on Facebook, Instagram. You can email me, mike@transitionsfromwar.com, with any questions or ideas for the show. And please send the show to people you know who might need to listen to it. Leave us a rating and review on iTunes if you get a chance. And just thanks for listening. All right, everyone. See you next week. Bye-bye.